Hey, this is Brent with Lykins Motorsports. We are going to finish this engine up this week. We are working on just the final touches right now. I've got to get valve covers on. I've got to get my crank pulley on and my belt. I need to make up a fuel line, plug wires on, and make the modifications to the throttle linkage that we need for the dyno. And we will be ready to get it off the engine stand and on a cradle. Few snags that we're running into. These are Mr. Dennis's original valve covers, I do believe, and they have had a rough life. They're still cracked around the holes and been welded and have some pretty crummy looking parts on them. What I had actually done, I bought a set of reproduction snake Cobra Jet valve covers, and was going to put those on and surprise him and give him the option of letting the engine look brand spanking new, or putting the original covers back on it when he got it. But the valve covers won't fit at all, and the baffles are very big, in not only on these valve covers but on the new ones, and they bottom out against the spacer in between the rocker arms. These are the only valve covers that I've found that do not fit my rocker arm setup. So I was very shocked to see that. And even if you stack two gaskets underneath these, they just bottom out. They will not sit down. So I was on the email last night, and Dennis and I were going over some options, and I think for right now we're going to put some chrome Power by Ford valve covers on them. His car is a 69, and these would have been the correct valve covers for a 69 428, if I do remember correctly. But the year before were the chrome Power by Ford valve covers, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody would have bought that car and switched the valve covers because they like chrome better. And you know, we got aluminum heads and a lot of other stuff on here that 1969 did not see. But so what I'm going to do, we're going to put the chrome valve covers on it, and I'm going to get that done right now. That'll be the first step for us to tackle this week on this engine. And we'll get our gaskets on there, and I'm going to use some valve cover studs and some flange nuts, and get our valve covers on. I think that looks awfully good. These are actually the valve covers that I bought for my tunnel port. So I pulled those off. They're brand spanking new. For the sake of getting this engine done, I'll order myself another set. We're going to finish these covers off with some Scott Drake reproduction screw in or twist on valve cover breathers. Ta-da. Gotta have breathers. If there's no crankcase ventilation, you will lose your gaskets in a heartbeat, as the engine is producing a little bit of pressure in the crankcase. But next step, I'm gonna go ahead and get our spark plug wire looms on our valve covers and run our plug wires. I use, there's a company called Bad Innovations, and they make spark plug wire looms for these style valve covers and the other Ford styles that have a notch for an 8.5 millimeter plug wire. So if you're used to using the older ones, you usually have to take a Dremel and open those up so the plug wire will fit down in there. But they make these, they're actually 3D printed. The only negative side is that the little nubs that go inside these little holes seem to get worn pretty easily, but sometimes you can crimp, or not crimp, but bend up these tabs on the corner so that it holds the loom tightly in place. But I'm going to get those on. We're going to use some MSD plug wires and get those routed all nice and pretty, and then we're going to move on to our making up our AN hose. Plug wires are ran. Need to get the engine fired up and the timing set before we kind of finalize where the plug wires fall, but got our caps on our Webers so that nothing falls in. Do have the little screens in the top. We're gonna make up our fuel line now. I have to make up a ton of AN hoses on engines, especially when we get into things like dry sump. It's just a tremendous amount of hose work, but it all comes down to using quality hoses and fittings. I use a lot of Vibrant and Russell and Aeroquip, so all good brands. We're gonna come off with a 90-degree fitting off of our fuel pressure regulator, and probably just kind of, I'm gonna see whether it'll snake underneath without getting close to that bell crank. If so, I'll run it that way out the back. The dyno has a -8 hookup that will come in and hook on to the fuel line. This is a -6, but we'll either run it down the center of the intake manifold or around here and hook it up. All right, you all can grab your forks and get ready, because this one's done. Caps are on, plug wires are ran. Got the correct pulley, belts on. Prime the oil pump one more time, since I hadn't primed it since I put the rockers on for the last time, so that's done. Fuel line is ran. I went ahead and ran it down the length of the intake manifold. I think that will be okay. Here's what I did on the throttle linkage. Used an aluminum spacer to kind of get it up above. What happens is on the Studzka dyno that I use, it's manually controlled, and there's the way that it's configured right now. It's kind of in a situation where you have to watch your mechanical advantage. If you don't do things correctly, makes it really hard to pull. So what I did was space this up. We got a spherical ball end with a 1/4-28 thread, and what I want to do is I've got some threaded rod with another spherical rod end. We're going to come straight off of that, and I had a nice CNC made aluminum bracket made up that would bolt to the throttle arm on the dyno and give us multiple points of adjustment up in here so that we don't lose our mechanical advantage. And I want to make this as easy as possible for the dyno operator to pull on, so he can get a nice smooth pull. But been going over the instructions for the Weber carburetors. I am foreigner to Webers, but I've been going over what we need to do first. The carburetors, from what I read, are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. You set your inboard carbs first, and master idle screw, and then go around and get your mixture screws right. I got a synchrometer that came with the kit, so we'll see how good of a Weber carburetor tuner that I am. We are done. So only thing left to do is get it on a cradle, and I'll do that closer to dyno time. And then when it comes back from the dyno, we have to dial in the bell housing, get the flywheel and clutch kit. Haven't ordered the clutch kit yet because I don't know how much horsepower it's going to make. On clutch kits, I've dealt with selling driveline components since 2008, and I only use Ram and McLeod. I've had excellent luck out of both of those I think that I've only had one issue that I've needed to send one of each back over all these years, over who knows how many clutch kits and flywheels and everything that I've sold. So what we will do on this one, depending on the horsepower, we may use a single disc clutch, and if it makes more horsepower than what I'm expecting, then we'll go on up to something like a McLeod RST twin disc. We want a nice smooth clutch pedal, and nothing on, no on and off switches, nothing hard to push. We want it to feel like a modern vehicle. So we'll wait till the dyno's done and see what happens on that one. But seen a couple of guys comment on some of the various media sources that Dennis has been posting on, like, hey, is this guy still working on this engine? Yeah, I'm still working on it, and these things take time, especially when we're waiting on parts. So I'm still waiting on, I ordered a couple of billet crankshafts around either Halloween or November of last year. I'm still waiting on those. So, stuff is just slow, and there's not much I can do about that. But to the best of my ability, this engine is ready to go, and looking forward to hearing it run. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on the notification when this video pops up, when we're dynoed, and all the other Ford engines that we have coming down the pipe. My pistons for my Cleveland are going to be here Monday. The block is finishing up today, so we are very close to starting on the 351 Cleveland for our 1970 Mustang project. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to dig out the connecting rods today and put a bore mic in those and make sure they're round and straight, and get those ready to mount on the pistons. But lots of cool stuff coming. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.